COP21 is by far the single most important attempt at an international binding agreement on carbon emissions. I'm going to COP because anyone that is seriously concerned with climate change needs to understand how these international agreements work on the inside, not least to understand what the barriers are. But I actually have another reason for going, and I intend to spend half of my time at least with the activist community, those that won't have fancy observer or delegate passes and are going to be out there protesting, because that is a force that I'm increasingly interested in harnessing. I sometimes playfully describe myself as a COP skeptic, by which I mean that it would be a bad idea for people to sit back and just wait for a COP-style approach to solve the problems. I don't believe that's sufficient, and I want to take a worst case scenario approach to the issue and basically assume that COP-style approaches are never going to lead anywhere. Like many other academics, I've spent a lot of time thinking about the most effective ways to combat climate change. My particular interest and the way that I believe is worth exploring is through distributed generation. What I mean there is everyday citizens taking low carbon energy generation into their own hands. Community renewables is what some people would call it. In my view, community renewables is an extremely effective way, not just to combat climate change, but also as a platform for activism, where we actually take power, in multiple senses of the word, away from the sort of incumbent, old-fashioned way of generating energy, and replacing it with something altogether different, not just technologically, but also in terms of who owns it and where the benefits flow. Scotland has set itself famously ambitious decarbonisation and emissions reductions targets. But there's another target that Scotland has set itself that perhaps fewer people know about. It's a target specifically for community and local ownership in renewable energy generation, 500 megawatts by 2020. And one of my hopes for COP21 would be elevating the amount of international attention that Scotland and Scottish policies have for community renewables, so that others may come to Scotland and learn from the alternative methods that have been deployed for raising finance, for example, and having everyday citizens take ownership in renewable energy generation.